to the G31 5 Series BMW. Now I had to think then, I've got the Touring version, so it's a slightly different model number. So you normally get like the G30, I've got the G31. So this follows for all you nerdy BMW guys out there, this follows your F10/F11. And this is the one that, personally, I first looked at this in the dealership when it came out about a year or two ago now? And I wasn't bowled over, purely because when you look in, it's the old car. Not a lot seems to have changed. It always looked like a glorified facelift rather than a model change. Now, I'm very familiar with the old 5 Series. I'm very familiar with a lot of the old 5 Series. I've owned many of them over years. If you know me, you know it's 5 Series or E-Class. I'm currently in the E-Class wave, so it's going to be interesting to see how this stacks up. I've had this for a few hours now. The last hour or so it has been sat in a parking space, but it's time to reacquaint myself with it and let's find out what I really think. So I've done some sort of casual town driving. I've been a little bit playful on the back roads. I'll give you my thoughts on that one shortly, but let's pull it into drive. It's got magic auto hold stuff, so what's weird is I've got no creep. So it's tap and we are away. So I need to address a few basic bits. So the vehicle in question we have to play with is the 520 diesel, and realistically, let's be very open, a 520 is everything you need for normal daily driving and life. It's very, very rare that in terms of any sort of car, that a 520 diesel will exceed that. So I set my foot down and just woke it up a little bit. I need to behave in a village. So, first impressions of this vehicle were, well, it's a 5 Series. Anyone who's driven a BMW 5 Series, especially of recent years, it's a car, and it does exactly what you expect. It's a big, refined, comfortable saloon, and it's hard to find a sort of major issue. Yes, there's nitpicks and there is issues with it, but it's exactly what it says on the tin. It is a very relaxed, comfortable saloon car designed for putting miles on it. You just don't feel it. It's so effortless and relaxing to drive. It makes traffic jams in town seem quite pleasant, dare I say. It is exactly what you'd expect. But then again, most modern cars these days have got to that sort of level of refinement. But the 5 Series always, for me, especially when you start considering price point, it takes a lot of beating. So, we're pulling along now at, ooh, sorry, the dials have gone red when it's gone dark. I had to question whether I was in sport or not then. I'm not, no, I'm in comfort. So, let's go back. So, 520 diesel M Sport. You've got your Eco Pro mode, you've got your comfort, you've got your sport. Now, the sport, it's electric steering. So, what it's meant to do is it's meant to sharpen your throttle response. I think it firms your suspension. Not really felt much difference on that one. The gearbox tweaks for traction a little bit, and it firms up the steering. Now it's electric steering. I don't like electric steering cars. I'd rather feel like the mechanical sort of weight you get of a hydraulic system, but they're all gone, they're the past, this is the future. We've got to sadly lump it and like it. It's very rare you're going to find something with proper old school hydraulic steering. Now, normal driving, it's got like variable sort of steering on it. It's got a nice sort of firm feel. It gives you confidence. However, you will soon realise my views on this car. As day-to-day sort of standard driving, it's faultless. It's brilliant. But when you want to press on, I do have a few issues with the 520. A, there's not enough power. You need the 530. So let's say you package this up and this had the 530 diesel engine in it. It's got that extra little bit of oomph. You need that extra waft of torque. It just feels just a little bit flat. No matter what gear you're in, as soon as you push on, it just goes. It hasn't got that sort of shove. But the thing with the steering as well is it's got that electric impulse, and you can feel it trying to stiffen up the steering. But it's almost like it's like a pulsating electrical interference. You can feel it. It's not sort of feel mechanical. It's not quite reassuring enough, really. So that is one thing I don't like, is the steering feel if you do push on a little bit. It's just, you can feel it. Someone's just trying to just nudge you back, but yeah, ignore my gestures there. But it's just trying to nudge you back a little bit. And then the brakes, again, lovely, normal sort of driving round. You just, the brakes, they do what you expect. But again, when you're going to put them to the test is unfortunately when you're going to pick the pace up a little bit. And if you are going to be a little bit playful in it, which it's a BMW, it's a German car, chances are you're going to want to every now and again just give it a little bit of a tickle. I don't quite have the sort of reassurance in them. They're terrifyingly numb. You've got so much sort of response. You can feel it's putting some pressure on, and it's just, it makes the car feel a lot heavier than it is, and you don't get that real sort of sharp bite where you feel like it's going to stop. It makes the car feel a ton heavier than it really is. It just doesn't quite work. So we've now gone onto a nice, lovely winding back road, so let's have a little play. So, sport, everything's in red and glowing. Keep the gearbox to sport, it's in automatic, drop to fourth, 3,000 RPM, and just, it's not a sporty sound, but it's a 520 diesel. What do you expect? It's not going to. But it wafts along, it picks up subtly. Very subtly it picks up, which is why I feel it needs the 530 diesel engine. You need the extra waft of torque, something just to really punch you, because you get that, it's very sedate. I think that's the best way I can sum this car up, unfortunately, is it is overly refined and unfortunately sedate. And BMW, I know you brand yourselves as the ultimate driving machine, and in terms of refinement, yeah, so foot down again, coming out of a corner, kick down's on, there we go, so that's 4,000 RPM shifting, just does on its own, picking up a bit, there we go, it gathers up a bit of pace, but it's not electrifying. That's why I mean sedate, and it's a shame. It is starting to lose its ultimate driving machine sort of merits. Purely because to get the sort of enjoyments on the public roads, you can't classify it as being the ultimate driving machine anymore, because you can't touch the limits to excite yourselves. That's maybe where Mercedes come in with its AMG range and its slight looseness and rawness it's trying to put back into its vehicles, because it becomes entertaining and playful at domesticated speeds. It means you can harbour some sort of enjoyment from it, and don't get me wrong, I do enjoy driving this car, but it just feels slightly numb and clinical in the process, and that's a shame. Sorry about crossroads, bear with me. But right, anyway, I'm not going to harper on too much about the sort of negatives of this car, because in essence those are the only sort of negatives. The model I've got 520 M Sport. If you want to really push on and be a bit playful, it's too overly refined and sedate, so you don't get the rawness out of it, unfortunately. As a car to drive, it's very hard to fault. It's beautiful, it's civilized, it's so relaxing, and you get in it, if anyone's ever driven a 5 Series before, you get in it and it feels like a 5 Series. It's very relaxing, intuitive to drive. Everything's where it should be. And you haven't got to think to drive it. You just sit down and say, I can slightly concentrate a little bit on trying to put this sort of video content together and relay some sort of thoughts on it. And the mindset of being able to control and drive a vehicle and place it where I want, it's instinctive. It's not a case of when you swap vehicles a lot, it's like, ooh, you got to always slightly be aware of something, but it's so intuitively natural. It's beautiful from that sense. It really is. People go on about the fact of this car is an absolute tech fest. Now, I'm not going to delve into the fact it's a tech fest, because this is actually a basic spec. There's no toys on this one. I've got the raw simple one, and I'm actually glad I have, in all fairness, because it's a great snapshot into what is offered as standard these days, and you get a lot. The olden days, it was always a case of, on the previous generation BMW, if you were like the standard media kit and stuff, you got that tiny, narrow little screen, and it just looked pitiful. It really did. It was a cry for help if you spec that screen. And BMW were very clever, because you were going to spend the £2,200, whatever it was, and get the wide screen, get the real thing. And again, from that side of things, from cabin layout to controls, it is very much the old car. It hasn't been refreshed, but could that be a point of it didn't really need refreshing? That's the thing. I always say, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And maybe that has been the case with the 5 Series for the last few years. The only sort of, my personal, is the E39, phenomenal. E60, I never liked, personally. I was never one for that. And then we got to the year of the F10, I was back on side. I liked it, I just didn't like the 5T5 diesel. It always felt like it was overstretched a little bit. And then this one is very much the over-refinement of the last generation. That's basically what it is. Here the rear end's just kicking a little bit coming out of a junction there. And that's literally, I've just got it in sport mode. It's just eased off the traction. But again, it's not alarming when it does it. It's just like, the wheels are spinning. That's nice. Not really that fussed or bothered. That's what I mean about the sedateness. It's no drama. It's like, yeah, we'll just carry on. We'll soldier on. Nothing's a problem. And it's nice to see. Now, fuel economy wise, it claims about 60. I've done some tests earlier on this afternoon. Being a little bit playful, I sat about late 30s, got it into about early 40s, but I might add a bit extra onto this, because late tonight I will probably go for a bit of a drive and I'll put some mileage on this vehicle. I've only done about 50 miles today in this thing. I'll go and do a distance run, and I am curious to see how good it is. But anyway, on that, I'm gonna leave it there for now. So the new G30 and 31 5 Series, to conclude, it's a fantastic car. It is exactly what you'd expect. Only thing being is it's slightly over-refined if you want something a bit playful, because it's made it a little bit sedate. Other than that, for 40 grand is what these things pretty much roll off at. If you're looking for something luxury, it's a good price point. This sort of mid-end saloon sort of stuff. You do get a lot of car for your money very, very quickly. It is nice. Anyway, until next time.